to the Best of U.S. Investors, Two Regular Guys show. This is Mark, and I'm Trent, and today is Nvidia Day. We look forward to this
Yes.
every quarter.
Oh
One of
yeah.
the largest companies in the entire world, the Jensen Young holds the whole market in his hands. I mean, does he? What are we going to
Wow.
see this week? Today, we're going to get into earnings, projections, past earnings growth and revenue, and we're going to look at a balance sheet to really look at what's going on here, along with a handful of other things. So let's make this quick. Let's get to it because Jensen's coming soon. Let's go, Mark. How are you
Wow.
doing?
I'm doing good. Until I heard you sing. It brought me
Oh,
down,
come
man.
on.
I don't know.
I,
You
I
started
could fit into
you
a
started
country
singing
singing
that
world.
song and you started singing that song reminding me of Con Air for some reason with Nicolas Cage.
Well, we may be in a crashing plane. I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll see.
could be. So
Yep.
anyway, I don't own any Nvidia. Okay, so just to be right out front, um, I know what they do. I'm no expert on Nvidia. I know a lot of people love Nvidia and they know a lot about Nvidia. I'm just going to go over what I see as a regular guy on Nvidia and relate it to the market, relate it to the indices. We'll look at the numbers and then we'll wait for the results and see what happens. So let's get going. So
All
anyway,
right.
Nvidia earnings today after the close will be a key read on how the AI infrastructure leader sees the market for AI chips and data centers developing as the cost of large language models come down. DeepSeek shook the market, hitting Nvidia shares hard, and more recently leading to scrutiny of major OpenAI investor Microsoft AI spending plans. Chinese AI company DeepSeek had a quick rise to fame in January upon the release of its latest model, DeepSeek R1, temporarily dethroning OpenAI's ChatGPT as the most downloaded free app on the Apple's App Store. Behind the scenes, AI enablers, companies building the infrastructure and applications that enable AI, felt the heat of the shaken market. DeepSeek was able to train its model on lower end hardware without access to high end ones major US companies use, effectively commoditizing the market. But what models were affected most by DeepSeek? So a report from slot.day analyzed user engagements with AI tools after the DeepSeek release, ranking them by loss of interest. It accounted for monthly searches, the latest changes for each AI tool, and parent companies' worth, collecting data from the Google Keyword Planner. According to its findings, searches for Perplexity AI have declined 33% since DeepSeek breakthrough. Second on the list of most impacted companies is ChatSpot by HubSpot, whose searches were down 22%. Google Gemini and Claude from Anthropic both saw searches decline 18%, as is Jasper's AI, Jasper Chat, and Bostify. ChatGTP came in just below them at 17% search declines. However, they fell only 3% for Intercom. Meanwhile, the report shows that DeepSeek searches have surged by an astounding 321%, exceeding those of every AI chatbot on the list except for ChatGTP and Gemini. However, searches are up 49% for Alibaba's Qwen 2.5 chatbots. So the AI field has seen rapid breakthroughs with new models like DeepSeek emerging almost weekly now, transforming the industry and affecting even established leaders like Nvidia. We're again seeing how open sourced AI models reshape the market, become more accessible to developers and researchers worldwide, and potentially lead to better performing tools at a fraction of the cost. DeepSeek itself runs on Intel processors Xeon and Gaudi, which are helping customers get strong performance at lower cost, according to an Intel spokesperson. Intel's Gaudi is also being used for Denver DataWorks, which offers AI solutions that prioritize both performance and data privacy. So will this be the start of a significant margin compression for AI model builders and the large AI enablers that supply them? So this week, recent reports that Microsoft was scaling back its AI data center buildout spooked investors for this reason, but Microsoft has disputed the reports, saying it's committed to its stated $80 billion spend, but added that it might strategically pace or adjust our infrastructure in some areas. Revenue across the industry will continue to grow and grow a lot, but the amount of profit that these large companies can extract will go down significantly. So it'll create some pressure from that perspective. So this afternoon's Nvidia earnings announcement, will really be interesting for the whole industry as a whole and the markets as a whole. Market estimates that Nvidia's fourth quarter sales at 38.5 billion and a first quarter guidance of around 42.5 billion. As usual, options point to share price moving around 8 to 10% in either direction, should the results surprise. So for me, I'll be watching the year over year revenue growth by percentages. Is it trending up or is it trending down? And in fact, trend already has the history of it. So let's take a look at the history trend and see what
All right.
see what the numbers say.
Numbers don't lie, right?
Yep.
All right. So can you see this?
It's right there. Yep.
Okay. So I'm highlighting revenue there. And as you can see, you go back to third quarter of 23, it was that 205% increase quarterly year over year. Fourth quarter of 2023 was 265% increase. And then, as you can tell, these numbers just start to decline as you get into second quarter of 24 earnings, third quarter of 24 earnings, and then they'll report fourth quarter 24 earnings. And I think they're supposed to be up 73% versus the previous year's quarter. So that, in my opinion, that's a decline in revenue year over year.
And
Shows that.
that's the law of large numbers. Okay, these
Yeah.
companies get so big, it's hard to continue at those rates because it's a bigger number. And just scroll down 2 lines to gross profit and see what's happening there.
All right. So if we
Right
go to
there.
gross profit here, same thing, decline in gross profit. They're having, you know, basically their margins are getting squeezed. The cost of goods are going up, all that kind of thing. So it's a down. We've done this, and now we're on the other side of the bell curve. And so I believe you're going to see a continuation of this. You're on mute.
So slide down to operating income right there at the bottom. Okay, this is Berkshire Hathaway just came out and their operating income was higher. You can see the percentage there. Now that's quite, I mean, it's going from 983 to 690 to 174 to 109.9%, which, 109 is a pretty good number. But when you
Yeah,
look at the trends, um,
it's down.
yeah, and you
Yeah,
see this. Apple did the same thing, you know.
yeah, yeah.
There's net income.
Uh,
Look at net income.
same, similar thing there. You see a
Yeah,
decline. And I
yeah,
think, this is a natural progression of a cycle. You have your ups, liquidity becomes, plentiful, and then liquidity shrinks. And you sell, you get pricing pressure, you get inflation elements, and it pushes things south. So we should expect this to happen. EBITDA,
yeah. Look at that. I mean,
same
that's
thing.
719% to 108. Well, so, we'll be looking at these, and Trent, you'll probably fill in your spreadsheet here, and we'll be able to get a better
Yeah.
shot of this after earnings, and we can bring it back up maybe at our Zoom call with our platinum members on Friday and go over it too. And we'll see, the options market, look at 8 to 10% move either way, depending on how this goes and how
Yeah.
the analysts take it. So,
Yeah. I think you should anticipate an enormous amount of volatility after the bell and
yeah.
going into tomorrow's open and when it comes to this. So yeah, it's a interesting how when you start to look at bigger patterns than quarter to quarter, rather just year over year quarterly earnings, you can see some major changes.
Yeah.
What other one did you want to look at here?
Yeah, just go down. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Well, I think
So
I think we got most of what we were looking for.
yeah. So I think it is, we've been talking about this for over a year now. And even though Nvidia has gone up in price. If you look at it from a charting standpoint, it's actually been going sideways for quite a while, and recently has started to break down in the last over the last month. And I think that is a combination of market liquidity along with fundamental. Look at from the fundamental standpoint. I point, to Warren Buffett selling all of his S&P 500 positions. I mean, this is a guy who said, just buy the S&P 500, and that's the best way. Why would a man who years ago touted that as what most investors should do, why did he dump it? Simple. It's too expensive. It's
They're too
overvalued.
expensive. They are overvalued. Yep.
Yeah, and
Now let me
I
show
think you're
you. Let me show you
okay.
what we're talking about here. So this is basically the S&P 500 and the remaining 493 companies and their growth basically since 2022. And you can see this line represents the Mag 7. And the Mag 7 have grown 148%. And the S&P has gone up 57%, while the remaining 493 companies only 35%. These companies are important in their market cap of the top 10 is about 35% of the S&P. So if we start seeing some degradation in pricing here, as we're seeing this little dip here at the end of 24, but you see it affects every one of these, it's going to be a big deal because a lot of these funds, they like when you have an IRA and you or a a 401k every 2 weeks, your money goes into the SPY and it goes into these stocks, based on their market caps, and their valuation. So you're putting that much money in there. If that stops happening because of returns, and let's say Nvidia's return today, it's going to be interesting. If you look at it, I mean, Apple has the largest weight in the S&P at 7.39%. And year to date, Apple's down 1.24%. Nvidia is second at 6.14%. Of 500 companies, Nvidia is worth 6.1% on the S&P. It's down 5.7%. Microsoft, 5.8% by weight, down 5.41%. Okay. Meta is the only one of the Mag 7s that's actually up about 12%, but it's only 2.84% of the weight. So the top 10, when you look at them, including Berkshire Hathaway, which is up 10.27%, but only 1.81% of the weight, are about 35.2% of the entire market. Okay, so the rest of the 493, if these dump, that's 35%. Okay, so
Yeah.
and they tend to trade together. Okay, because they're all focused on the AI trade. Okay, so again, we saw that. Let's look at the Nvidia chart. We'll just take a look.
Okay.
And this is as of a quarter to 12 on Wednesday, February 26th. Okay, it's a daily chart. Okay, and so that's the wrong. That's Nvidia. I took the wrong button. NVDA. There we go. Nvidia. That's better. So you
Yeah.
can see yesterday we flirted with the 200. Okay, actually wicked down. Today we moved up, and now we're back right where the sell orders are. Not quite getting past the 50. It's going to be interesting. It looks to me like, we have people that are anticipating, as we always do, earnings are going to be good, so they want to get in and catch that pop up. I personally, in my trading plan, I will sell the day before earnings. So I would sell today and get that little pop up if I was in this, and I'm not, because I'm looking down here at the MACD, okay, which is kind of rolling a bit. We already have a cross negative of the stochastic, little bit of a rise in the RSI, but it's still under the 50. We'll see what happens. Okay, there's a lot of sell orders right here, and then we have some resistance up at 149.11. So again, I don't play around. I don't play around earnings. Earnings get you in trouble. Let's go back and see.
Yeah.
Let's go back and see what the last earnings was. We'll go back 6 months. Hey, look for earnings. Here was earnings right here. Okay, this was
Uh-huh.
November 20th. And you can see the next day, oops, next day we popped up and then we trailed down and then down, down, down. What was earnings? Earnings was 78%, 78 cents a share. Okay. Um, but again, people looked at that revenue and said, revenue is only 122% or whatever it was. It was 168 before,
Well,
you know.
I remember they were just saying this is wonderful. And I'm like, yeah, but what about the previous quarter? It declined from the previous quarter,
Right.
year over year.
Now,
And
they
that's
don't
what you're
like to
seeing.
talk about that. Let's go back one more
No.
earnings. Here, look at here. Look at this earnings here. Okay, here's the day. Earnings come out. Boom, down. Then what happened? Down. Okay, what did we get on
Yeah.
earnings here? 67 cents per share. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, just be careful. Um, and as you know, as goes Nvidia. Let's look, and I bet the SPY looks kind of like this chart here. Yeah, see, SPY went down, hit the Bollinger, popped back up. You know, it's a big part of the SPY. Let's see what maybe Microsoft is doing. Yeah, Microsoft was down. Look, it popped down to where the support level was and then came back up a little bit. Just kind of waiting to see what happens. Microsoft's below the 200. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not good. Uh, Google, and these guys have all announced. Google today, look at that, drop below the 200 today. We could have a close under the 200 on Google. Amazing. Meta,
The common thing between all of these is where they peaked out and the slow burn south that
yep,
they've been on for the last couple, well, this month, really, the month of
yeah,
February.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you know, since DeepSeek came out, everything's been kind of sideways to confused. You know,
Sure. Sure. Sure.
so you know, we don't want to dwell on it, but you know, it'll be interesting. And Trent and I'll be watching to see what happens with Nvidia. I don't own any. I don't know if you own any, Trent, but you
I
know, I'm
so I've
looking at it. I'm looking at it as the big picture. If Nvidia dumps, I'm expecting tomorrow to be an interesting down day in the market. We'll see. And if it goes up, we'll see how much it pulls the market up.
Yeah, so I've been playing the puts on it for the last 2 weeks. I cashed out everything yesterday. I was up very well, very great profits. Took some work to get there, but looking at the charts and using the charts and using up my calculator, that gives me some indication of where this, where the trading ranges are on this on a day-to-day and weekly basis. I profited from it going south. As I used your rule of don't play in the sandbox during the earnings day, and I took my profits, walked away, very happy. And today I sit in cash. I own one company right now, and
Yeah.
it's a long-term 3 month outlook. But I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the open interest, implied volatility elements of what is happening with Nvidia, and there's an enormous amount of open interest, meaning there's an enormous amount of contracts that have been purchased and have not been exercised or closed out at around $140 a share for this coming Friday's expiration on the call side, and then 115 on the low side. And there's an enormous amount of liquidity there. And there's two ways you can look at it. One, the market thinks NVIDIA is going to 140 or near it, so they're taking an option approach to it and buying calls, or they think it's going to 115 and they're buying puts, or they're selling both sides of it because they don't expect any movement within that range that would get them called out or put out in a sense. So they're just collecting premium. So this will be really interesting what happens on Thursday. And the one other thing I'm looking at is like the VIX. The VIX is challenged over 20 yesterday, and then I think the day before, if I remember right, but then it's closed down. So the volatility element in the S&P is more indicating a more of a bullish interpretation versus a what are we at right now? Is that 19?
We're at
What?
1890.
Okay,
1890.
so you
Yep.
just use 20 as sort of, if we see a close above 20 on the VIX, this is the volatility index of the S&P 500. So it can be skewed because of how option market works in suppressing volatility. But if Nvidia were to say below earnings, let's say they just, instead of having a 73%, quarterly year over year growth, they had 5, you would most likely see the VIX go through 25, and that's when you'd see a triggering event for a massive sell-off. But I don't see that necessarily happening. I see the VIX actually in this point may trail downwards as we get through the week. But at some point, I think this will bust out. But right now, the volatility is being suppressed. It's had it, yesterday jumped up, it looks like around 2150 or so on the high, but closed down below the Bollinger Band. Some of
Well,
your
it's above.
oscillators.
It closed above yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Today it's below it on the
which
upper
is
end.
what you would expect because only 5% of the time do you trade outside that line. So I would expect it to come
Correct.
in, but I like the
Yeah.
fact that we still have these upper trending, all really tightly clustered moving averages heading that way. So
Yeah.
let's see.
The other element is gamma, which is a measurement based on implied volatility movement of an option. Not to get too deep in it, but right now gamma is negative on the S&P, means there's more volatility potential than there is if it had positive gamma. When it's positive gamma, things are a little bit more suppressed. It's a little bit of a neutral environment. When it goes negative, it becomes more aggressive. And right now, as of this morning, we had negative gamma on the S&P. So we should expect some level of volatility. It's a matter of how much. And I think the bigger thing that we need to look at with Nvidia isn't just their earnings, but their guidance. What do they say in that call once they report earnings? That has been sort of the big catalyst of where stocks go here recently in the last year or so, is what are they saying in that earnings call? What kind of direction are they giving for the future?
Yep.
You know,
That's, I mean, we can all sit and speculate all day, but we'll know in about 4 hours what's going to
yeah,
happen. So
right.
grab some popcorn,
Yeah,
buckle yourself in, subscribe to our channel, hit the like
yeah,
button, join,
exactly.
come on. Yeah. And always look at the charts, always look at how one company such as Nvidia can affect the entire market, and
Yeah,
use and have a risk management strategy. And that's how you keep from getting the rug pulled from you and losing money. And have a trading plan or an investment plan. And that's what we talk
right.
about all the time, with two regular guys and best of us investors.
Yeah. Well, and Mark, this may be an opportune time to talk a little bit about what we're introducing Monday. And that is the Morning Edge. That is a 7:30 Central call that you and I are hosting to subscribers. It's available on the platinum level. For an additional fee on the gold level, you can buy into that. That will become available on Friday. But if you just want the Morning Edge, the call with us, what it is you and I introduce what's happening in the market for the day, the sentiment, a couple trade ideas. Then we turn it over to the subscribers and we share ideas. It's a roundtable discussion. It's really similar to if you work for a hedge fund or any investment company. Every morning you sit around and you talk about different ideas, what's going on in the economy, what's going on with the stock. Here's an opportunity in and out and strategies. And it'll be a very interactive part of how you start your day. And it'll give you some insight of how other people are thinking and how you can possibly become a better investor. It's all about learning from each other. And so it's a very interactive event. So we'll start that March 3rd. It will go up on our website for subscriptions if you just want to subscribe to that. So look for that on Friday morning, the availability of that. And every day you'll get a morning email with a link to the show. And we ask you to prepared and come to the table with some ideas, because that's how we're all going to learn and get better at this. So it's called The Edge, the Morning Edge. So should be a lot of fun.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Well, Mark, you got anything else you want to hit on?
No, nope. I'm gonna go pop up some popcorn, get ready for the big earnings announcement.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. This is, NVIDIA Day, so look for some really incredible price action going into Thursday and Friday. In the meantime, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and check us out at bestofusinvestors.com. Check out our new offering, The Edge. We'll have that available for sign up come Friday. And it should be an incredible addition to the Best of US Investors services that we offer. In the meantime, have a wonderful day. Enjoy the show tonight with Nvidia's earnings, and have a great and always live loud. See ya.
And cut.
Okay.